Zero News on the rise, bringing wrestling to our eyes. WWE, AEW in the spotlight, never telling us a lie. Accurate in every report, fans cheering in delight. Zero News, our guiding light in the wrestling fight. Covering the ring with precision, no indecision. Zero News, our source of truth, bringing wrestling updates, never uncouth. In the world of WWE and AEW, Zero News shines through.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the EVP Xero Show. I'm Zero as normal, and joined by my co-host. I'll pass you over to him now to introduce himself.
What is going on, everyone? It's the EVP of the Main Event Network. We are glad to be back. We were out last week. I had a busy week. Zero did as well. We're close to Money in the Bank, so ready to get started.
Yeah, lots of news this week, so we will quickly shoot through that in a minute. But before we go on, let's just go through some of the comments that we've got. So Gwen Anderson's here. Hope we have something new and exciting. Hey CJ, I thought I'd come in person once. So yep, hello Gwen. WrestleFace says hello all. Hello. Bonnie, hey. Whoever's using the Acknowledged Dynasty account, I assume that's probably Leslie. Hello Leslie. Oh yeah, Honorarius says hello everyone. Hello Honorarius. And Michael plays, Vince, please come back and save us from this TKO mess. Yes, we will get into that. So let's just go through this one then. So it's been revealed that Jordan Grace is expected to be joining the SmackDown roster very soon, and also Stephanie McCourt is joining the Raw roster. It could be as early as this Monday coming up that they are on said rosters. Yeah, what do you think about those early call-ups, really? And do you think it's too early? Do you think it's good to call them up, or what, really? Like,
I mean, we've kind of been talking about both of those going up for a little while now. You know, it looks like WWE went for more of the shock factor on Tuesday. Obviously, we'll get into that, but I mean, Stephanie's ready. She's so over. Jordan's ready as well. It all kind of makes sense now why Jordan didn't win the title at Battleground. I mean, those two are the top two that need to be on the main roster. So yeah.
I will just say as well, if anyone does want to get involved in the comments, please join in, and we will get to them in between things. So let's have a look here. Money, Jordan Grace, and Stephanie are ready. Yep, that's true. And LB Media, I think Alan could take the title off of Jason. Yeah, could do. They could literally do it throughout all three of them. You never know. They could like flip in between three of them. As part of the storyline. Next bits of news then that we've got then. So obviously we've already sort of discussed this one using the comments. So Michael, the coach has been saying now that he has heard that Vince McMahon wants to officially buy back WWE. It's also been reconfirmed as well, that news has, by Dr. Chris Featherstone. Dr. Chris is back, and Houston Messenger, sources close to him and to Vince, have confirmed that is the plan, is that Vince wants to buy back WWE. You know, Mash J from PWN has turned around and said though tonight is that TKO doesn't look like they want to sell for the minute, but however, there's loads of news going around about it. You know, anything could be true at this point, but when you've got like 2 or 3 different people saying Vince wants to buy the company, then Vince wants to buy the company. By the sounds of it, you know, that's what needs to happen. I think that's what's probably going to end up happening is he's going to buy it back somehow. You know, heck, everyone's turned around and said he'll need major investors. He's got the Saudis on his side.
Yeah,
You know, he's got the Saudi investment fund on his side, and those Saudis can just buy anything they want to. At the end of the day, you know, so that's for it.
I think obviously it's a growing fandom. Obviously, all of us and the IWC, everybody is tired of the Triple H booking. Obviously, nobody is okay with the stuff that happened outside of WWE that Vince did. Obviously, they would get a lot better creatively, I feel like, if Vince come back. I'm just a little worried that a lot of the talent may leave because of Vince. So I don't know. I mean, it's very possible that I think if he does buy it, then they could he might do something to where he's in the shadows or whatever and just have leave Triple H in creative. But knowing Vince, he's gonna want to get back into creative. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a lot of stuff going around about it.
Yeah, obviously for now he's still got to have all that court stuff, which obviously John Laurinaitis has now been. Well, John Laurinaitis is apparently now going against him in court. So that'll be quite interesting to see what's going on there. But all I'll say is Vince will get away with it. We all know for a fact that Vince is going to get away with it no matter what. You know. Just a couple of quick comments then before we go on. A couple of quick questions. So Michael plays, do we expect Roman at Money in the Bank or after? He won't be at Money in the Bank. Expect him in the lead up to SummerSlam, if anything. Michael, fair health for NXT Women's Champion. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, a lot of there's a bit of to and fro about Vince and that in the comments as well from between WrestleFaith, Leslie and Money. I'm gonna So we'll just let them talk between them. Hang on, what's this? Gwen as well. After what H and Steph did to Vince, no way would they be there if Vince brought the company back. That's true. But the thing is, though, is that story true, or was it just built up by the media? That's the thing. That's what.
Yeah. I mean, the way Triple H did speak about Vince in his Hall of Fame speech, as much as the media tried to portray that all the stuff when it happened between Stephanie and Vince, we don't really know if that's 100% factual. So, you know, if Vince did buy the company back and he feels like he's too old to be doing all the traveling and all of that, he could still keep Triple H in creative, which I wouldn't. But we're not the ones buying the company either. So I worry that if he does buy it, like the Saudis are going to back him up 100%. To have the funds to buy the company, I just worry that if he did buy it, like what the actual people that are working for the company are going to do, because there's a lot of people that don't like him inside the company. So it'd be quite interesting to see what happens. Obviously, if it happens, but we'll find out. I expect at some point. So a couple more things then before we go on to the actual reviews for the shows. So WrestleVotes put out today, and this is a weird one. They put out that WWE are planning a NXT TV show on Tuesday, August the 19th at 2300 Arena in Philly. It says that show comes just 1 week before AEW kicks off a 7-show residency. Now, the IWC's been going mental over this, saying, they're only doing it because of AEW, blah, 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 and stuff like that. They've ran that arena before. They made a huge spectacle of it because they were there when they had Bully Ray and everything like that show up. They literally had it a couple of months back. So I don't understand why people are kicking off online over it. You know, it's not like it's exclusive to AEW or anything like that. And people need to just calm down. That's all I'm going to say. People literally need to calm down about it because they're just going mental over it. And that just because WWE are doing that. But yeah, I can see where it's coming from at the moment as well, because
obviously, as we know now, there's a lot of counter programming going on, especially with NXT shows and well, all out, isn't it? Basically, so yeah, Monty, that's the ECW building when they were literally a couple of months back. Where you had Buddy Ray and that show up, and Rhino showed up as well, and everything like that. So yeah, it's that same arena. Also as well, it's come down that SmackDown will remain a 3-hour show for the foreseeable future. There is no plans to change that round, and that is because USA Network are happy with the ratings. They're happy with that 3rd hour, and they have no plans to end it soon. They've actually asked WWE to keep it going. Do you think it's going to be why he's keeping the 3-hour format? Do you think SmackDown works as 3 hours, or what really?
I mean, I don't think it works for 3 hours, but I mean, to be fair, like on Raw right now, they're really not being able to showcase a whole lot of talent. So I feel like with them keeping the SmackDown 3 hours, I mean, that 3rd hour is absolutely awful. But I feel like maybe when we get the title off Cena and get it on somebody that can show up every week, you know, they're going to be able to feature more superstars on SmackDown. I just worry because the IWC is going to melt. Like they're already, and like you said earlier, they crashing out over this AEW WWE war. And they're starting to crash out about John Cena. They crash out about Cody coming back. So hopefully when they bring some of these people up, they put them on SmackDown because it's going to need a lot more people. The 3rd hour is painful. Like they definitely need to work on that. I feel like Cena is a lot to blame for this, though. Like them putting the title on Cena, it's really throwing a lot of creative off. So
yeah, so I mean, I kind of mean like to me, the 3-hour format, obviously being over here in the UK as well, that's a 4 a.m. finish basically for us. So that's painful in itself. But yeah, I can see where they're coming from as well with it, because I know a lot of people turn around and say that it doesn't, though, but a lot more stars get showcased. They can, even if it's just rubbish matches, just thrown together matches and stuff, it means that more people get more TV time. Because of course, beforehand, people were moaning that their favorites, their favorites were missing off and stuff like that, and where you didn't have Zelina Vega on TV, where you didn't have Chelsea Green or whatever on TV and stuff, and it was literally just dominated by like an hour's worth of content for the Bloodline. Well, now you can still have that hour's worth of content for the Bloodline and still then have everybody else on the show that you need. So even if it does come down to, so even with that 3 hours for it, it's a pain. Yes, people hate it and stuff, and yes, it's like a slog that last hour. But the only way they're going to be able to really get it so that everyone likes it is by improving that last hour to give those big. To me, it's give those big things in that last hour. Personally, that's what I would say. Is if you're advertising, say, a Cena Cody stare down again, you do that in the last hour. You do that right at the end, so you make people wait on and see. If you're advertising Roman, you don't get Roman opening the show, you get Roman closing the show, or you get him opening that 3rd hour, and stuff like that. You get if they're wise, they basically put it all into that last hour. Personally, And that's the thing, is like any title matches you put in that last hour. So rather than again opening with a title match, you open with, say, the mid-card matches or stuff, or you open up with non-title matches and you close the show with your title match. That's the way which they're going to keep people interested, and that because there is also talks as well, I know, of adding a 3rd hour to NXT as well. If they can do, they want to add a 3rd hour to NXT, or move one of the one of the non-televised shows at the moment, like LFG is televised, isn't it? Moving like LFG and stuff to a different night as well for it, so possibly Wednesday night. So that one, then you literally then have like basically WWE content on Monday to Friday. Because if you think about it, TNA technically is WWE content now, if you think about it. So you then have WWE content all 5 days a week for that one. So that's going to be it'll be quite interesting, obviously, if they do that one. But it'll be that's something to work out for, either a third hour of NXT or a, stuff like that, basically. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it has to do with USA. USA has said they're happy with the 3 hours. They're happy with the viewership of the third hour. So at the end of the day, USA already lost. Didn't they lost Raw as well? So, and it's on Netflix now. So I think they're gonna do what they can to keep SmackDown on the air and keep it on the air as long as possible. So that factors a lot into what WWE is actually gonna do. So
yeah. I mean, it seems to be like that way. It should be that one. They need to put TNA on USA and that way. They might do, but obviously that's up to TNA. Obviously that's them to secure their own deals, basically. Right, another couple of bits and pieces then from it. So it's also come down from WrestleVotes that Triple H is said to not be a fan of the Money in the Bank prop as a whole. To expand on that, it's not just the briefcase, it's the entire concept of it. He does not like that there's an entire pay-per-view based around it. And potentially in 2027, we could see Money in the Bank merge back into SummerSlam, or over SummerSlam or WrestleMania, basically. And they're changing the look of the briefcases and everything as well. So rather than the classic green, it won't be that, and the white for the women, it won't be them either. It'll be different, like it'll be unique cases for each year, if anything. They might go back to that one. Obviously, if they do that one, they might even just change it up completely and not even have a Money in the Bank briefcase. It might be something else completely, right? But from something that I'm hearing is by 2027, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view may be gone completely, and it may be merged into one of the other big ones for it. It won't be anything other than SummerSlam or Mania if they do end up, doing it back in that. Money to as a classic black. Yeah, it could be a classic black case. You never know.
Yes, it sounds like Triple H just doesn't like the whole Money in the Bank concept. And then obviously we saw last year how fast they changed the color. They changed the whole briefcase for Tiffany when she won.
And I mean, this is the thing as well, is if you think about it, Money in the Bank, most of the time now, it's either a failure, the cash-ins, or they're either done really quickly or left to the very last minute and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's an afterthought. So you don't even have the classic like chasing round and stuff, but like the comedy moments, like what you have with Vince, like like the Brock Lesnar ones where he used to come out every time and he turned his briefcase into that boombox. Mm-hmm. It's it's you don't have those classical moments anymore. They literally just show up in that and just go, oh yeah, I'm cashing in, bang, done. Basically, that's it, isn't it? Really. Mm-hmm. Or obviously, what you've had recently as well is you've had, I'm gonna cash in my briefcase and challenge you at SummerSlam. What's the point in that? The Money in the Bank briefcase, the Money in the Bank is meant to be, you literally show up unannounced and just cash in. But yeah, it seems to be the concept's dying off, and they just basically going to scrap it in the end, by the sounds of it. Let's just go through this one then. A couple of comments before we move on. So, no more Money in the Bank. Don't make me catch the Holy Ghost. And Leo from the Wrestling Perspective. Lads, how are we? Yeah, we're all good. All perfectly fine. Couple of last things then. Obviously, we have Evolution coming up. Now, I don't know who reported this, but it is rumored to only going to be 2 hours long. I don't know how that's going to go down because at the minute, the current plans is 8 matches, and one of them is going to be a Battle Royale. So you're going to have 7 matches, and then the 8th is going to be a Battle Royale. And the reason why they want to do that is they are going to try and feature as many women's talent from all the brands. So from Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and TNA. And then, of course, you're also then going to have Evolve and ID talents on there as well. So I don't know how they're going to manage that if they're only going to do it 2 hours. But if that's true, I
can't see that. I can't see it. If they're doing 8 matches, they're going to have to go 3 hours at least.
Yeah, at least, yeah. Otherwise, those matches are going to be really short, like 10 minutes long, basically. 5-10 minutes long, which isn't going to be great at all, really. Not especially for a pay-per-view that everyone's been looking forward to and stuff, because how long have they been hyping out for now, and how long have people been asking for it? Really, bloody ages at it. So
long time, yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously they're making a big thing out of that weekend as well, aren't they? Because they're doing two shows on Saturday, aren't they? And then like the because we've got NXT,
the Bash.
What is it?
It's Great American Bash, right?
Great American Bash, Great American Bash during that one, and then that's the same time as AEW All Out, and then obviously we've got Saturday Night Main Event, and that one's going to be a big one because at the minute the plans are Cody Cena 2. That's going to be on that show, and also Goldberg's retirement match. So yeah, they're making that Saturday Night Main Event a big one to actually watch, basically. And then obviously the Sunday afterwards is going to be Evolution, where that weekend, from my understanding, we're going to be having returns, debuts, and surprises on all three of the shows, especially seeing as on that Saturday they're going head to head with AEW, and that for that one. And I think isn't All Out like one of their big shows or something, like AEW's big show or whatever they normally say. Because of course they moved it to 3 p.m. to not conflict with any of the shows, and then NXT just went, you know what, hold my beer, let's do this. let's advertise the show for 3 o'clock. But so that was that one. Last thing as well, via PW Insider, Stephanie Valcourt versus Io Sky is expected to happen in WWE sooner rather than later. I can see that happening at Evolution. If anything, Stephanie, but down there. So yeah, I mean that kind of works out, doesn't it?
The only thing about that, I guess, if they put her in a title match, I feel like she's got to win. They can't really, unless it ends in some kind of crazy ending, like a DQ or something. She just lost the NXT title. She's got plenty of time to win, but I feel like they want to have like big wow moments that weekend. So I feel like she could win the women's title there.
Yeah, I could see every single championship being defended on that show personally, and over 1 or 2 title changes, and stuff like that. And we're going to have then obviously a couple of surprises and debuts and stuff like that, I was going to say. For that one, obviously one of the ones is going to be the Bellas. They will be back, even though Nikki's tried to claim she's busy during July, but no, she's back. She's back for it. From the understanding anyway, that myself and a few other people have got as well for it. Let's have a look here. So let's have a look at some of the comments then before we move on. So what we've got here. Russell Faith to Tongan Twins teased in a post by saying Evolution, could it be possible? Very possible. They're still looking for somewhere to go. They could have their debut there at Evolution. You never know. Nia needs her own bloodline, so Nia sort of needs a female bloodline and she needs some backup. So they could bring her in that way. Leo keeps saying AEW, and then he reminded me that it's only their biggest show of the AEW year. Well, they've been counter-programmed now by WWE. Gwen Anderson, when is the Saudi show? Is Roman not appearing on? If not, why is he in the video advertising on the show? He could be in for Saudi and that'd be it. I can't see him. He won't be in for Money in the Bank. I can say that now. The Saudi show is the end of June, if I'm rightly. Yeah.
Yep.
So potentially he could be in a week before that one. However, bear in mind, we've had video packages and even promo videos beforehand, and even graphics and that beforehand featuring Roman, and he's never showed up. And the reason behind that is basically Roman decides when he wants to work. If Roman basically turns around and says, I'm not showing up, then Roman doesn't show up. That's the bottom line of it. That's the thing. If Roman don't want to work it, Roman don't work it. It's that simple, basically, and I'm telling you now as well, Roman's going to be very busy because he's filming quite a lot. He's basically on the Brock Lesnar schedule, so do not expect him a hell of a lot. He's going to be very soon just doing the big pay-per-views. If that, we might even be lucky very soon to see him. Well, very soon we'll be very lucky if we see him on any more than WrestleMania and SummerSlam. That's what I'm going to say, basically.
Yeah, a lot of people send me DMs about when he's going to win the title again. I just say I don't think they're putting the title back on him because of his work. Like he's went to a even less schedule now, less dates. So I can't see TKO putting a title on him because of that.
No,
so.
No. They did have plans to do it, but that's been scrapped. I will say that one now. They've scrapped the plans for that. So yeah, I hate to say that, but I'm sorry, but I don't think Roman's ever touching a title again. He's had the longest reign coming out from it, what they've done. And I think now, whilst he's still in his contract, he's just going to get through all this bloodline stuff. You know, he's going to get through everything he's dealing with now, just the whole Seth thing and CM Punk, Seth thing and probably Braun and stuff like that now, he's going to be doing that one. We're probably going to have him team back up with CM Punk again in a massive twist and everything, and, to help take out Seth. And then, we're going to get that rematch between Roman and Seth again at some point, and make sure he does that one before he finally, goes. And then, we're going to get the Rock Roman match at some point as well, potentially next year at 42. But, yeah, don't expect to about a lot. That's all I'm going to say to people for that one. Yes, that's that. What else was there? Was there anything else? Money in the Bank. We were quickly discussing this. I was saying this to CJ off air. Now, originally the plans for Money in the Bank was meant to be a 6-man tag, but basically Travis Scott is not. Well, he's basically flaked out on the match. So, I don't think he's going to be ready. Well, he was meant to be trading for it, but I don't know whether he's completely lost interest or whatever in it. But it was meant to be a 6-man tag with Travis joining Team Cena, and Jimmy was meant to be helping Jay and Cody. And Money in the Bank, that was always the original plans for that one. It was originally scheduled for SummerSlam, but then they pulled that match to Money in the Bank just to fill it out, because now at SummerSlam it will be Cody Cena free again, and this tag match will lead to that one. Rest of Faith is asking about the draft. The draft, again, that was meant to be done when they were in Florida. When they'd done those hall shows in Florida where they had, where you obviously had Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in Florida, that's when the draft was meant to be. But again, that's been postponed, basically. Postponed/canned at the moment, and they're just going to casually keep bringing people up like what they're doing now. So it's not going to be like one major big draft, but now it's going to literally just be people are just going to swap shows over like what they were doing before. That's why they originally brought those trades in, which really completely messed up. And then, and now they're just doing it like this. So this is why we're going to potentially now have Stephanie and Jordan show up as early as this week. So because then I know what they were saying was if you basically then turn and say, we're doing a draft, then everyone's like, oh, this person's going to be up on this date, this person's going to be up on this date and stuff. And you can sort of then work out when everyone's going to show up. Whereas the company wants it to be a surprise, so you don't know when they're going to show up. So it can literally be, oh, there's no draft, we don't know who's showing up when. It's going to be done that way. Whereas, say like they had done the draft, then you would have known that Stephanie was going to be dropping a title. You would have known that Jordan wasn't going to be, continuing on, because what they would have done was they would have obviously drafted her and then obviously had her lose the title like normal. So it's sort of like that thing where they're trying to bring back the surprise factor, but it's not really working half the time. So we want to move on. So last weekend, we obviously had two pay-per-views. Well, two pay-per-views, I would say. Well, one of them not really a pay-per-view. One of them it was a special, wasn't it? We had more, as Leo was saying on Uncut yesterday when we done it, it was more ad breaks than show, really. Saturday night main event. So let's just quickly go through that one. Just before the show went on air, they done a dark match, which was American Made versus the Latino World Order, in which American Made won that one. So that was just for the fans in attendance. But officially opening up the show, we had Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker defeating Sami Zayn and CM Punk. And obviously then we had the third guy get revealed, which was Bronson Reed in a shock twist. Nobody saw that one coming. To that one, what did you think about that match? What do you think about the whole Bronson Reed shock twist and everything like that? Really, again, people in the comments, if you want to comment, go ahead. Sorry, CJ, carry on.
I mean, I was a little bit surprised. I honestly was. Obviously, Bronson destroyed Seth, and they wrote him off of TV because he like tsunamied him 6 times. It was definitely a shock, but I think as the PLE, wore on and we get to the main event, obviously they were going for we got to surprise them or something. For me, it was probably the Saturday night main event with the most surprises. People coming back.
Mm.
I feel like it's a good fit, but from Monday's promo from Heyman, well, I just don't. I think Seth needs to explain why Bronson's with them, and he didn't really do that. Paul did, so I don't know. We'll see. Like he's building a huge
Mm.
faction, so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and we know where that's going to lead to. They're all going to turn on Seth, and then Seth's going to be there. Seth's going to be the punching bag again at the end of it. And, Bronson's probably going to turn on him. Bronson's going to turn on him. And then they're all going to go separate ways of time. It's the same thing, what we've seen millions of times. It's that typical faction thing. They're going to have a bit of a run with it, maybe a couple of months, maybe anything up to a year. And then, they'll just disband and, start all turn on each other, have matches between the three of them or however many's in there. Paul Heyman will go again and find a different client and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be done that way. So have a look here. Some of the comments just before we go on. So when they blew Roman's date when he first came back during the pandemic to help the house shows. So here we suffer. Yeah, true. Michael plays Zero. Any plans for Seth's group? Not really, not for the moment. It's like I said, it's just going to be the typical faction thing. They're going to bring in all these ones, they're going to go around, destroy people, and then they're just going to eventually just break up and then just fight each other. It's the typical thing that we've all seen before from it. It's a rinse and repeat, basically, as it is. Money, we had a glorified house show at a premium live event. True. Gwen, I can see that with the NXT talent, but when are the guys and girls on SmackDown and Raw getting a permanent home, or is this the way they don't have to honour the split? They'll sort of be mini drafted. It'll be sort of like this is the thing at the moment is until they've got the talent in the right places, it's going to continue to be a mess. You're going to see people just keep swapping brands and stuff. And, when you've got the likes of like Cody and Cena and stuff, they're going to try and get them on every single show. You are going to have dedicated shows soon for everyone, but it's difficult to say because now with no potential draft on the horizon at the moment, or it could happen in a couple of months. It's literally Triple H will just turn around and say, you know what, we're doing a draft next week. It'd be like that basically. Or what, we're doing a draft in 2 weeks' time. That's how bad it's going to be. For now, it's just going to just be a case of just anyone just goes anywhere, and you'll just casually just see them just start sticking on those shows in time. That's what it'll be. Russ Faith, it may just be me, but this Seth thing is not moving me. Seen it before. True, like what we said, it's a rinse and repeat. As I keep saying, copy and paste really. Money, you got to remember, CM Punk is the reason why Bronson got injured. He moved Roman off the table. Other than that, it doesn't move me. That's true. Yeah, again. Right. Yeah. Anyway, go back.
I think with the Seth thing, it's obvious this is a rinse and repeat for me. Like the way they're going with it, it looks like they're gonna have Seth eventually win the World Heavyweight Championship, and then I feel like he's probably gonna lose it to Braun Breaker at 42. I think that's how they're going, the direction they're going with it.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. It seems that's what they're gonna probably end up doing. Split it up and stuff like that, and then one of them could potentially hold the title, like what we said, maybe Seth, but then they won't. It won't be a long reign and stuff, and it'll just be they'll just all start fighting between the group of them again. That's how it's going to end up going. Moving back to Saturday night main event then. So we had Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green for the for the Women's United States Championship, in which Zelina Vega successfully retained her title. That was expected. There was no title change expected with a Saturday night main event because again, it's a glorified house show. Then we had John Cena versus R-Truth with probably the best entrance of the night when obviously we had R-Truth come out as OG John Cena. I was crying. I was crying when that happened. I do have to say, I was crying with laughter. trust our truth to do that one. It was hilarious. So yeah, did you have any sort of comments on those last two matches that we mentioned, the Zelina one and John Cena one, really?
I think they need to move Chelsea and Zelina away from each other. That match was, I love Zelina and Chelsea, but that match wasn't great. She missed the 619 and kicked Chelsea in the nose, busted her nose. I love the R-Truth entrance. Obviously, I don't really care too much about John Cena's matches moving forward or at all. But it was R-Truth made it want me want to watch it. So it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. I mean, that was the shortest match on the card as well. It was only actually about 4 minutes long. And then we had a like once in a lifetime match that we've had that we've never seen before. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, just having a steel cage match. And the highlight really of that one was literally Damian just walking out of the cage, and as Leo even said on the show yesterday, Jesse Ventura made it just like he was literally ranting and raving that that he literally just walked out of the cage rather than just climbing over the top of it, and that's really what made that match was Jesse. I do agree with that one totally. Anything on that one really, or just
I mean, I didn't really care for it how it ended, but if Drew's hurt and they're writing him off, I think he's filming, right?
Yeah. So he is actually hurt as well. He is actually legit hurt as well.
Yeah. So I think when he comes back, obviously they'll finish the trilogy out. He loves to do that with McIntyre's matches. And then we got to get Drew away from Priest as well. Like Triple H has got to start putting these people in different feuds. So.
Yeah, they do, yeah. And then the main event of the evening, then we had Jey Uso defeating Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight Championship. Pretty average match, it was just a typical World Championship match, wasn't it, really? Not really. Nothing really went down in it. Nothing really big.
I think
comments on the last one?
I think that for me, if Cena wouldn't have done that promo with Jey before the match, then after that, I 100% knew Cena was coming out. I mean, for me, that was the ending was they rushed Cody back. He wasn't supposed to be on TV for a couple more weeks. They rushed him back because everybody's complaining about the Cena title run, and they had to bring Cody back. So,
because they're all saying about how boring SmackDown and stuff like that is and how boring the reign is now. But, everyone wanted John to get 17. They gave him 17, and it's another thing again. They gave Cody the title, and look what happened. Everyone complains. It's, it's done with. Just get to a couple of comments then and questions before we move on to NXT. So I need to scroll back up a minute, so bear with me. So Alexis Sherman, do you know when Jordan's getting called up to SmackDown? It could be as early as this week. Nobody knows at the moment. It's difficult to say. Miguel Fernandez said he needs to hear you ranting and raving about Mania moving places. So, you have anything to say on that one before we move on?
I mean, I've already done plenty of that on Twitter Spaces, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. They got to hire offer somewhere, and we got a bicycle, or we got a motorcycle, and then they were like, all right, well, we're not going to give you that. We're going to give you a 10-speed for consolation. You guys get Money in the Bank. And he don't even like Money in the Bank, so it's awful.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing as well, is it might not even be in Vegas where everyone's obviously hyping out to be, because the time frames which they want to do, there's a major music act in Vegas at the time, and they are basically refusing to budge. Now, they're refusing to budge from that weekend, and I don't blame them. WWE have literally decided to do this thing last minute when they want to try and go to Vegas, and nobody else is going to move. And if you look at it as well, around all of April, it's booked. Allegiant Stadium is booked for all of April. So the choices are either going to be they're either going to have to move Mania to either March or May, and that, or they're just not going to have to use Vegas. That's the thing. So it's going to have to either be a case of moving it earlier, moving it later, or or just changing venues again. Well, not even using Vegas. That's the thing. So I mean, we'll find out soon. The announcement should have been done sooner, but I think we're going to get it Money in the Bank weekend. They'll finally make a decision on them. But again, it's money talks. As I've been saying for ages, money talks. TK only care about money now. You know, it's whichever place gives them the biggest offer. They could literally have at the last minute somebody come on in with, say, you know, they could offer another 10 million more than wherever it's currently, whoever the current bidder is for it, and they'll just be like, you've got it. You know, this could happen again. Is, you know, they could advertise it as, say, I don't know, Vegas, and then maybe another place comes in and offers more than what Vegas was doing a couple of weeks down the line, and they'll just be like, yes, moving out of Vegas again. This is the thing, you know, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be whichever place gives them the biggest offer for pay-per-views going forward is where they're going to be. So do not, if pay-per-views get announced, don't expect them to be sticking in quite a while. No, you know, unless tickets have started to be sold, they can easily change the venues around. So when you have things announced like a year in advance, they will change. They'll more than likely change venues if they get better off that one. Money, I got the feeling it's Seth loses too, yeah. That's true, yeah. It could be that one, yeah. Gwen Anderson, so when is Cody facing The Rock, or is that forgotten? I don't expect to ever see The Rock versus Roman match. Again, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess at the moment. Dwayne's obviously filming. It was meant to happen. It obviously got put on the back burner, so they could literally give Cody the title and sort of do it that way. And again, yeah, Dwayne's even obviously come out and said our story's just started, and then there was meant to be a whole storyline coming out from it, but it's just a complete mess. They need to hurry up and decide what to do with it. You know, Dwayne needs to decide when he's going to have a couple of months off to be able to do it. And the difficulty here is if they want to do both those matches, they both need to happen at WrestleMania. So either you do, say, Rock Cody night 1, and then you then have Rock Roman night 2, and that. But then is that going to be too much for The Rock to do 2 nights pure wrestling? Or do you stretch it out over 42 and 43? Or do you sacrifice one of those matches and put them on SummerSlam? Because you could potentially do one at Mania and one at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you could.
But the problem is with that one is you cannot get to Rock Roman without doing Rock Cody first. That's the problem. So you need that Rock Cody match to be able to fill that one in before you can actually go to that one there. You know, and that it's a mess. It's a mess. WrestleFaith is Truth and Cena done. I feel like Truth may still try to pull John back into how he was. Expect some more bits coming up. There will be a few more bits and pieces coming up. Even maybe when John turns back face again. Money. Jesse Ventura nutted when he just walked out of the cage. That's true. Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. WrestleFaith again. The main event match ticked me off so bad. Why didn't Cody come out during Cena's match? Why not let Jay defend on his own? Cool. I'm not even going to comment on that. Really? Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say anything about that, but I mean, he was outnumbered, and that was basically the only reason Cody came back early, because Cena's championship reign is awful. And they had to set up Money in the Bank. They only had 2 weeks to start it. So
yeah, that's the reason behind it. Yeah. Money, can the UK government not pay Charles and they get WrestleMania? I want to see something. I mean, this is the thing is, if the UK government want to pay more money, then yeah, go for it. If they want to pay the highest thing, yeah, go for it. You know, and we can get it. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess at the moment. Yeah, nobody seems to know where WrestleMania is going to be, because it's just that they've gone ahead and they've took bids from other places without a contingency plan, without a backup plan, basically. That's the thing. So, you know, they've got no date set in for it. They've got no plan set in for where it's even going to be, and that. And they're going to have to start selling tickets soon, or start advertising tickets soon, because otherwise they ain't going to get, well, they probably ain't going to get full attendance or whatever, what they want to do. Right, we're quickly back on, then going to cover NXT then I want to get back to the rest of the comments and everything like that. So, we obviously then had NXT Battlegrounds this weekend, just gone. So we opened the show up with Sol Ruka defeating Kalani Jordan to retain her NXT Women's North American Championship. Yeah, did you see this when you got back? Because you went to AEW in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't see it till the next day.
Fair enough, yeah.
So solid PLE. This match right here was phenomenal. Sol Ruka is great.
Yeah. I mean, it's It will be. This the thing is, everyone was moaning about it as well because they planned that match at the same time as AEW had Monet versus who was it? Monet versus Jamie Hayter, was it? I don't know who she was facing.
Oh, Jamie Hayter.
No, yeah, whoever. Yeah, so obviously a lot of people were moaning that they had to dual screen that one to be able to watch both matches at the same time. I personally just said like, just scrap AEW and just watch NXT. That's my personal opinion to that one. But
I mean, Mercedes Mercedes hasn't lost a match, so you should have known she was winning anyway. So
Mercedes Hogan, Mercedes.
That's definitely Mercedes Hogan over there.
Yeah, Mercedes Hogan. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's her new name now. Yeah, anything on that, Matt? Well, you've obviously said it was amazing.
That ending was crazy. The Soul Snatcher was absolutely great. Both of them ladies are top notch. One of them needs to win the title over in NXT soon.
Yeah, true, very true. Right, and then what we got in, and so 6-man tag match was then next, where we had Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs defeated the Culling, which was Brooks Jensen, Nick Evans, and Sean Spears. That was all right. I don't understand why it was on the pay-per-view, though. I guess it was just a toilet break, basically. I guess for a lot of the fans, that was toilet break time. I really don't understand why they did that match on pay-per-view. They could have done another match on there instead, but yeah, I'm not really going to moan about it too much more. But yeah. Do you have any comments on that one?
I mean, Hank and Tank, they're great. I don't really like the Cullen storyline that much. Not really buying into it a whole lot, but Hank and Tank, good. I don't think they should go up right now, but they're going to be a good tag team. WWE NXT has got to start building that tag team division back up since practicing well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yep. And then we move on to Challenge Stacks Lorenzo defeating Tony D'Angelo, and obviously we had Luca Cristofino come back. Everybody thought that Luca Cristofino had been released. He hadn't been, and obviously it was revealed on NXT that Challenge just left him in the desert and basically kicked him out. So yeah, that was the whole storyline there. It really made no sense to why he just stood there and stared. That was the thing. It's like, what? Why not do anything? He literally just showed up and just stared. You could have done a lot more, in my opinion. Like, he could have got involved in the match somehow, or maybe help Tony somehow. Maybe cause Stacks to. Well, obviously Stacks won in the end, as we know. But I mean, he could have done a lot more rather than just come out and just stare. That was just the thing there.
Just enough distraction for Stacks to get the win. Obviously, for me, like every one of the, like especially that match, like there was a couple of times where I even thought Tony D was going to win, but obviously with Stacks turning on him, like they're building Stacks up to be that heel, so he got the win.
Yeah. So just before we carry on, then, because we're midway through, so Money Soul versus Conley was amazing. Yeah, it was. Best for Faith. Shout out to Baby Viper. He showed up and proved for sure. Yeah, we'll get to Baby Viper in a minute. Miguel Fernandez, Zero versus AEW feud continues. That feud is never going to end. That feud is going to continue on for life. It's going to be a lifetime feud. I do have to say. So there we go. Yeah. Money, I don't care for the Cullen storyline. And also, what the fuck was Luca doing there? He just stood there and did nothing. True. Like I said, literally, what was the point? They could have had him show up on NXT on the Tuesday. No way. There was literally no point in him being there. I understand, obviously, it caused Channing to win, but yeah, it made no sense. There was literally no sense to that one at all. It was. Yeah, I'm gonna stop about that one now. Before I start getting wound up. So back to NXT then. So we then have Stephanie Vekora successfully defend the NXT Women's Championship against Jordan Grace, and obviously we know why now, because of what happened on Tuesday night. Congrats to JC Jane on that win, I will say. Pretty big. What has been 9 years she's been in the business, and it's her first singles title that she's won, so that was pretty good. That was. Anything on Stephanie and Jordan?
I mean, those two are just absolutely they're killer. That was the best match for me of the night. I thought Stephanie was dropping right there to Jordan. Obviously, that was before the news broke of Jordan going to SmackDown. Obviously, it all makes sense now, but a 5-star match for sure from both of them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Then we move on into Oberfemi versus Miles Bourne. Ober obviously successfully retained, but yeah, as the rest of I said, Baby Viper showed up well. Obviously that is Baby Viper. Interesting fact here, don't know whether you know, but I don't think it's been said enough, but Miles Bourne is deaf. I have to bring that up on every show. I don't know whether people know that one, but yeah, I don't think it's ever been mentioned enough that he's deaf. So yeah, just interesting fact there for anyone there.
I just found out. I just found out when we went on the air that he was deaf.
I don't think it's ever been mentioned on TV before, brought up enough. So yeah, there we go. That's not there. Money. So Ober versus Randy Orton's son was good. Yeah, that's true. Yep. And then we had the main event of the show, which was Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry, in which Trick Williams is now the TNA World Champion. But the question is for how long, because he is now facing Thingy on next Tuesday, isn't he? So, yeah.
It looks like NXT is starting some sort of new thing where they, I don't think Trick's gonna hold the title very long. I thought it was a good shocker for sure, but and I also, shout out to JT Jane for winning, but we all know that it's just that title is supposed to be swapped around a lot. If everything they're saying is correct, like it looks like they're gonna have a lot of different people win that title. But
I do have to say this, but I can sense Trick dropping on Tuesday to Santana. And that I can literally see, I can see them doing it. Transitional champion. I know that was one of the original plans, is that they were going to do the title change on Tuesday between Santana and Trick Williams. The reason behind it, and this is what it was to make Joe Hendry not look so weak for it. It was basically they wanted to add a shock factor to it, and they thought that having an NXT talent beat him made it look stronger than Santana beating him. Plus, as well as, again, Leo, if he's still here, we were actually discussing this a little bit beforehand, but it would have been face versus face. I know they've done it. I know they've done it several times and stuff, but Trick versus Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana would have been face versus face. So, it makes it look a lot better having Santana beat heel Trick Williams rather than having him beat Joe Hendry basically for it. Because Santana was always due to win that title. He was going to be the next champion and stuff. And I said from what I got told the other day is at the minute, the plans is that Santana wins on Tuesday and beats Trick then. So it will literally be one of the short reigns and stuff. And, and Santana, so they're both on NXT tonight. They're both on TNA tonight, even though it's been pre-filmed. It'll be a backstage segment, I expect. Because TNA was basically pre-filmed like last weekend. And there was no in-ring segments for them, so it'll probably be backstage. Basically. That's that one. So that was 2 pay-per-views. Next week we'll be discussing Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide as well, which we've got coming up. One thing I do want to say about Worlds Collide is it's sort of upset me a little bit because they're sending that jobber Chad Gable over to wrestle when they've got the greatest luchador in the business available, which is El Grande Americano, and he can't even get a match on the card. They can't give their greatest luchador in the company, El Grande Americano, a match on the card at a Mexican show, a Lucha Libre show, but then they're sending the person who hates luchas and that jobber Chad Gable over. It's shocked me, basically. It's in that way. Money said 0-star. She's crying with laughter. I expected this one today. Yeah, but no, like I said, it's really upsetting. Really upsetting to me. And yeah, I have been I have sort of been very vocal about that this week in the Discord and everywhere else as well. So yeah, basically, yeah. So yeah, El Grande Americano needs to shock the world and show up at the same time at that show, and possibly check out Chad Gable and then challenge him to a match. I think they should do I think they should do a mask versus hair match. Between Gable and El Grande Americano. But that's what they need to do in my eyes. Just going to go through Elliot Edwardson. Any Rock return? Nope, not anytime soon. He's busy filming. He's got about 6 films lined up now. So yeah, I don't think we see him this year personally. He's going to be way too busy filming and doing other bits and pieces. I don't think we're going to see him in 2025. If anything, we're going to see him in 26 now for that one. West Face turning around and saying at this point, send Trick to the main roster. What else can you do in NXT? That's true. That's probably what they'll end up doing. They'll probably have him drop to Santana on Tuesday and then send him up to main roster after that as part of one of these random draft things that they're doing. Money when is the infamous Tongaloa coming back? He's out still for a little while. He was meant to be back by now, but his injury's worse than what they thought, and it's going to be a little while longer. I know we're all missing him. We need him back. I need that El Grande Americano versus Tongaloa match as well. It's the two goats of the company together. In a match. It's going to be that's going to be amazing. That's going to sell tickets. That's going to headline WrestleMania. Tongaloa versus El Grande Americano. That will headline WrestleMania next year if they can set that one up. I can see it. With every single title on the line, they should do that one for. Yeah, that one. So that's the show this week. Before we go off air, anything that you want to bring up or anything like that? I know obviously you went to AEW. What was the show like overall? What was it sort of like?
It was. The show was good. It was extremely long, almost 6 hours. So we don't see that in WWE shows. Even when I went to Mania in Philly, it wasn't that long. But yeah, definitely I wouldn't have won if I didn't get it for free. So I'll just say that. But it wasn't bad. I'm not gonna shit on them. I know that they already get shit on enough, but I don't watch the product that much. But it wasn't terrible. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially by me, they definitely get shown off by me, but they sort of deserve it. So, yeah. Hang on, what's this come down? Hold on, somebody's just brought something down now. Let me just. Oh no, that doesn't really matter. No, that's something completely different. Don't worry about that. So once again, that was a show this week. We'll be back next week for the Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide predictions and other bits and pieces as well. Money, as I said, Zero versus AEW for life. Absolutely, I'm never going to stop. That it's just going to be one thing first. Either it's either going to be for life thing, and either I'm going to die before I bring it up, or the company's going to die before basically I stop. So that's how long it's going to be. Once again, thank you for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all of us down below. We'll see you next week. That's Zero signing out, and I'll pass you over to my co-host to sign out on his part for this week. Before we go.
Obviously, tune in to Main Event Fridays tomorrow as IWC Promo Battle Season 2 continues. We have Money in the Space, the big tournament to crown the Season 2 winner on June the 7th. And then obviously Monday, Main Event Monday, 6 p.m. We'll be doing Money in the Bank prediction and comeback for us next Thursday, 6 p.m. episode 17. We'll be covering Money in the Bank predictions and Worlds Collide.
So see you next week. Goodbye.